Subnautica is probably my most favorite survival game I've ever played, and I've beaten it and also made numerous videos about the game in the past, so I wanted to play it again today since it's just a classic, and decided to also try and beat it without eating or drinking any food and water the entire time, since I have never done that before in the game. And that is going to be today's challenge. Can you beat Subnautica without eating any food at all? And does this make it harder or easier to do? The rules are simple. You cannot eat any food or use any water. However, medkits are allowed because that's not food, but I did want to state that since I do use them in the gameplay. Oh my god! Alrighty, here we are again. As you all probably know, we just got dropped out of the glorious and giantly succulent Aurora ship as it blows up above us. And then we endure severe head trauma. Honestly, it's a shocker our character didn't get brain damage, but we do start hearing voices later, so it might be delayed trauma.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyways, the first step in this game is to obviously just go scavenge materials around the area and also try not to pee your pants from the fear of the sounds already around you. Also, this early part of the game is very annoying because you nearly drown every 10 seconds and it's just a giant pain, which is why the first thing I crafted was a standard capacity O2 tank so I can last longer. I also collected some seed clusters which I made into fins so I can swim away from big enemies trying to abuse me. Next, I made the repair tool to finish off this crafting spree and also fix up the poor escape pod so it no longer looks like it came from a divorced home. I then spent quite some time just swimming around scanning things, trying to find vehicle fragments, or honestly just anything. I was sort of lost already. It's been a minute since I played this game. We also got the first radio call of the game and it was awesome. They just said to drop a like and subscribe right now. It's crazy. Anyways, I went to that radio thing right away because they usually have important things by them since this game directly gives it to you. And I found the sea glide while there, which then I also made. And this thing is so clutch. It for real increases your speed insanely, and we also spend lots of time together running away in fear later on. A little before that though, I did die of hunger for the first time today, and honestly got so lucky I didn't lose any belongings because I had a full inventory of resources. But this is basically what you have to do every single time your hunger is at 0. You just sit and wait for the gods to take you, and then give you back because they don't actually want you. A bit later, I got more brave and ventured into this purple cave thing which has lithium and a lot of rare resources in it. Only thing is, it's like hundreds of meters down, so I'm quite literally risking my life for these rocks. And I did indeed nearly die in the process. I also did start to make a little starter base so I could have some more damn storage because I can't be lugging around a full inventory of titanium all day and expect to hold other important things also. And yeah, this base was literally just made for storage so I won't lose any items when I die each time. Oh, and would you look at that? Speak of the devil. Alright, so I finally made the mobile vehicle bay and then tried to make the sea moth, but as usual was immediately disappointed when seeing what you need for it because I don't have that. Haha, just kidding, I'm not a bot. I know exactly what to do and I made that thing. I then did a brilliant strategy of just parking the sea moth right before its crush depth and then scavenging materials in the depths. Oh, and the Aurora also blew up while I was down there. Man, I really could have fixed it probably, but that's okay. We'll go do that later. I also started to get a little bit too cocky with my skills of not eating and nearly died while out on a material journey, but made it back just in time. So some would actually say I'm like a god at this game, and yeah. Anyways, after dying, I decided it's the perfect time to go to the Aurora and try to explore it and get all the goodies it has to offer. So I did the dredged ride, skimming the surface towards it whilst also hearing the leviathans in the background. And I'm not gonna lie, while here I did burn to death. It was an occupational hazard. Thankfully, I have played this game long enough to know that you can abuse the save system and just reset save to the most recent, which I did say right before heading to the Aurora. So I headed back this time and didn't die at all, but honestly, the Aurora is low-key underwhelming as hell. You don't really get anything here aside from the prawn suit fragments, and maybe one or two other things that could help you. I did also fix the reactor though, so I won't be infected with radiation for the entirety of this game like I have in past playthroughs. I did, however, customize my base a little bit so I can get less depression after my entire crew family just died in the crash of the Aurora. A while later, I also made the modification station because I thought you could use it to upgrade the sea moth because that poor guy needs some upgrades if we're gonna get anywhere in this playthrough. And I forgot that you actually do need the moon pool if you want to upgrade anything ever, so that's great. Now I get to rebuild my entire base. How fun. Before that though, we had to, you know. So the first step is to actually find the moon pool fragments, and I had no clue where they were, so I actually made an entire prawn suit and also found the grappling arms for it so I could somewhat use it. I then still couldn't find the moon pool fragments, but I managed to find the edge of the world and just said to hell with it. Let's try and go as far down as we can, and I made it to like 1300 meters before a ghost leviathan showed up to ruin my day. But honestly, the guy didn't even want to kill me. I think he just enjoyed some company for once. Anyways, I still had a hard time finding the moon pool because they are scattered in one place, and it's at this very specific crash piece of the Aurora way off the beaten path. So I made it to some random crash thing. I thought it was the right one, and it wasn't, which is why I sort of raged and just went back to my base so I could quit for the day. I then came back the next day for some more torture as you do, and I indeed did find the location I had been after, but it was actually just this place where you find the vehicle upgrade console, since that is the real thing you need to use for upgrades. But it's funny because you need to place it inside the moon pool for it to work. So that was pointless, and that location also had a ton of leviathans right there, so I risked my life for no reason basically. Oh, and wait, that actually was the right place to find the moon pool. I just didn't look hard enough, so I had to go all the way back again. I seriously think I might be like slow or something because I've played this game before so many times, yet still can't ever find that damn moon pool. It's like a shiny Pokemon in my eyes. It just doesn't exist. Or if you want to be more accurate, it's like a woman. That's even more rare. Also, the sunbeam was coming to save us from doom, but it's a little bit too late because I'm dying of hunger again. Okay, so now that I'm back to life, we began the construction on the base that would end up taking me to the end of my journey. I constructed the moon pool after years of trying to, attached some tubes to it for extra space and storage, and also put a reinforcement on it since the game told me it was struggling. I then had to do the annoying task of deconstructing everything from my water tenement and putting it into my new mansion. Anyways, by the time I was relatively finished with the base, the sunbeam ended up getting blown to bits. And we just watched from a distance, since with a show like that, any tickets are good tickets. And right after I then made the vehicle upgrade console finally. I'm not gonna lie, I felt super free after doing this. You don't understand how annoying this has been to get. But the first thing I did was make the prawn suit grappling arm because I was being difficult and even parked it 300 meters away since I was too lazy to bring it back to my base. Anyways, the grappling arm is dope. You get to become Spider-Man and run away from certain doom. It's sweet. So in order to get even deeper in this game's caves and the end of the story, I had to first get nickel for more depth upgrades and all that good stuff, which is done by taking the poor prawn suit to its absolute limits. And I was edging the guy near his depth limit in order to get to this area and find nickel, which by the way, this damn material couldn't possibly blend in anymore. Like, it is literally the most boring color of all time. And yeah, I also nearly drowned here, but that's just a Subnautica experience. We then got to see just how annoying the prawn suit is because climbing hundreds of meters vertically becomes just as challenging as it was for women to get the right to vote. I seriously understand their pain now. This is awful. And it actually took so long I began to literally starve to death on the way back, which would have been awful if I did since I had a ton of those materials on me. What the hell was Blood yapping about? My god. We finally did make that prawn suit death module though, which allows us to now travel to 1300 meters down. Now that's far, but you actually do need the second one to get to 1700 meters in order to beat the game. Before getting that though, I did a lot of other building of good things. First, I tried to get the Cyclops built because it's nice to have when doing trips to the endgame location, since I needed a respawn point for every time I starved. And in order to get it, some of the fragments are near the ship's butt, so I made a save and then went full-fledged in there. So I got caught. Anyways, I actually found more of the fragments in the mushroom biome for whatever reason. And then next to the Aurora, which wasn't a bad thing because in the mushroom forest, there isn't anything to murder you there. Oh, and also we are still dying if you wanted to know. I did end up going back to the butt, however, since the mushroom forest didn't have everything. And this time I did end up actually finding some Cyclops parts for once, which is nice. However, on my way out, I heard the guy yell at me and I got so scared. I also did juke him out though, since he's a fat retard. All I had left now was one more Cyclops fragment, which I got in the mushroom forest again. Man, I really swapped those two around like the damn football team. That's crazy. But we ended up getting all the parts, so that's cool. Now the challenge is to build the damn thing, which honestly, it isn't that horrible. The only hard part is getting the lithium for those plasteel ingots. But all in all, that crafting recipe could be so much worse, and it probably should be worse. I also took it on a little joyride to see if it worked, which it did. I then finally upgraded the sea moth, and it can go to a whopping 900 meters now. Round of applause, everyone. Round of applause. That still sucks. Okay, so as you can see by my pinned recipes, I'm trying to get more depth for the prawn suit and Cyclops, and I need to get kyanite, which is the furthest down material in the game. So I devised a plan that I can start talking about if this damn electric eel will stop trying to harass me. Okay, so the plan is to release this beacon at the entrance to hell, and then pilot the Cyclops all the way down here with the prawn suit in it. Now honestly, this is a great plan. Please agree with me. But the execution of it sort of sucked because the Cyclops is not a very small vehicle and trying to fit it down here was literally impossible. I even had to get out for a little bit just to get my bearings as to where the hell I was. And can we talk about how horrible the lights are on the Cyclops, please? Like, I don't think it could be any worse at exterior illumination. But anyways, we made it to the beacon finally, and then I took the Cyclops all the way to the edge of its depth limit, just peering into this giant room. And look, you can see the Leviathan just swimming around with absolutely no friends. Poor guy. A while later, I took the prawn as far down as I could to the lava area because the kyanite is there. However, I was mistook with my perception of how you get such kyanite, and you need to actually drill it. I don't have the drill arm, by the way. Okay, now I do great. So I drilled some kyanite and then took that to go make more depth upgrades. And now the prawn suit can go to 1700 meters, which means we can effectively finish the game's story. So that's exactly what I did. But I had a hard time finding the bases in the lava place since they are also hidden away. But with time, I accomplished my goal like all things, and we found the blue tank tablet, which is important, I think. Oh, and yes, it actually is, since you use it to unlock the door for the final area. And hey, we made it in. That's cool. So now we just gotta talk to this giant lady monster down here, get the final objective of needing to craft some hatching enzyme thing to save her children from the eternal egg disease. And getting this hatching enzyme is actually extremely easy. You can just go through all the portals in this main room right here, which I didn't even know of, and I'm a little disappointed in myself for not because it's so obvious. So yeah, I found all those crafting parts in like 10 minutes and was very pleased with my efforts. I then made the hatching enzyme and took them back to the lady. And we got the cure in return, meaning we can now leave the planet and not get shot out of the air from the cannons. How nice. Also, I found a bug unintentionally where if you go through enough portals down here, eventually all your stats will just freeze and not go down anymore, which made this ending very pleasant because I wasn't dying of hunger. Bro finally reached peak state of mind. So yeah, the last thing to do is make the Neptune rocket and escape. There is quite a few parts to it, but at this point we know how to get all the materials and have most of them, to be honest. So I made the rocket and then escaped the planet, saying goodbye one more time to Subnautica. All in all, this challenge wasn't that hard. It was just very annoying having to constantly stop and wait to die. And this video was low-key just an excuse for me to play this game again. I'm not gonna lie. But you should drop a like and subscribe right now.